Hello guys, Shamino here with a new video for Path of Exile, and in this video I'm going to talk about a very difficult mechanic in the game, and that are Warcries. So I'm going to try to explain it to you guys. It's possible that I make errors too, because it's very difficult, because at the moment we cannot see how it's going to work in the update, but I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to talk about this new gem too, the Auto-Exertion gem, because I see a lot of people, in my opinion, overhyping this gem. There are a couple of downfalls, and I think they are very big. Why you cannot overuse this. So that's very important. There is another very good gem too. It's this one, Overexertion support. I think this can be very good. It's not yet in Path of Building, so I cannot see how much damage it do. But if I see the numbers, I think it's a potential new support gem on the slams. So that's what I want to say. So what is the plan? I'm first going to show you guys the gems that I just showed you and what they are going to do and why I think they are a little bit overhyped in my opinion, because they got a lot of bad things on them. If you see all of them, then I'm going to Path of Building and I'm going to talk about Warcry. So a cooldown on a Warcry, what are the numbers, what is important. I'm going to talk about power too. Power is very important. What is exerting an attack with the Warcry? How does it work? I'm going to talk about infinite power too, because we got now in the Chieftain, we got a node, an ascendancy node, and we got Red Blade Banner, of course, too. I made a couple of years a guide with the Red Blade Banner, and why infinite power is very strong, but how does it work? That's very important too. But first we are going to start with this gem, Auto-Exertion. So what is this gem going to do? Roughly said, you can link a Warcry on it, and it's going to trigger the Warcry if the cooldown is gone. That looks really good. You think by yourself, okay, let's link 1,000,000 of those Warcries on it, and I never need to watch it again, but that's not really true. We are still in Path of Exile, and it got a lot of downfall, and therefore I think it's not so good. I think it's good for 1 or 2 Warcries, if you don't want to play the piano, but most of the time it's better to cast them yourself. Why is that? So first of all, you can read it here. So I want to read it here because in Path of Building it's not correct. So reserve mana based on the supported Warcries to cause those Warcries to be repeatedly triggered. So what does that mean? So a Warcry got a mana usage too. So that means I think it's 20 mana. So if you link 3 of those Warcries on this stuff, you will use 60 mana every time it gets used. It's possible that you get life tap on it and that you use life, but you need to watch that too. Because if you're playing a slam build, where are you going to get all that mana? Most of the time you got Pride, you got Blood and Sand, you got Flesh and Stone. So that's already 80 or 90% of your mana reserved. So that's a big downfall too. That's a lot of people don't understand that. They think that this is going to use Warcry, there is no mana usage. No, it's just using the mana of the Warcry. That's the first one. Then the next one, supported Warcries will trigger when their cooldown is over. So that's very simple. So if you got 3 Warcries linked to this gem, the cooldown is done, it will trigger it. Only when the cooldown is done. So the cooldown is still there. So it's not that it ignores everything and just keep triggering it the entire time. So that means, what I read here is, that you can just trigger 3-4 Warcries at the same moment if they are linked. So I don't think it's 1 by 1. I think they will get triggered at the same moment if they are off cooldown. Then the next one, the skill mana reservation is the total of the mana reservation of supporter skills and cannot be further modified. So this is what I just said about mana. But now that I see it, and cannot be further modified. So you cannot get it more down. So that's a very big problem. So you need to have the mana, otherwise they are not used. And then for the support, and that's very important. Here is one of the things that a lot of people make an error with. So supported Warcry, so first of all, reservation overrides 15% mana. What does that mean? That every Warcry that you link to this gem is going to reserve 15% mana. That's a lot. So if you got 6 of them, you reserved all your mana. And you use every time 120 mana. So therefore it's not so good. The reservation, in my opinion, just need to get away. I don't understand it. I think that this gem is already too weak with other stuff that get removed, that the reservation is not needed anymore. But it's here. It got a cooldown too, so you can see it here. So every 0.2 seconds, it only can be used. It's not that much. You will not notice it. 0.2 seconds is marginal. Then the next one. So supported Warcry skills cannot support retaliation skill or modify the skills of minion. That's normal. And then the next one. Supported skill have 29% increased cooldown recovery rate. That's very good. So a Cry got a cooldown. And this gem, if you link it to it, the cooldown will be 30% less. That's good because then you can use it a lot quicker. So that's very good. And then supported Warcries are triggered when their cooldown are over. So when the cooldown is gone, they will get triggered. So cooldown gone, you use it, you use the mana, cooldown gone, you use it, and you keep using it the entire time. And then the next one is a very important one. And therefore, that's with the reservation, with the mana usage, I think this is the one that kicks this gem in the toilet. That supported Warcries do not grant buffs or charges to you or allies. So that means that Warcries, they got a buff. And most of the time, the buff is the most important thing for a Warcry, will not be used. So you don't get the benefit from a buff on a Warcry if you link it to this one. So that's a very big downside, in my opinion, and I think that makes it this gem not so good. So I think this gem is very good for Cries that got an exert. Only good for Cries that got an exert. But I don't think it's that good. So that's it for this one. And then the other one is something that I can see a potential gem that we are going to use. So it's over exerting support. So support a melee attack skill which can be exerted. So I will explain you guys how exertion works if we go to the Warcry section. Cannot modify the skills of minions, fall skills and channeling skills cannot be exerted. That's normal. So you can use it on a slam, for example. Because a lot of people are going to use exerted Warcries on the slam or a strike melee gem. Supported attack deal 18% more damage for each Warcry exerting them. That's big. I'm using, for example, 2 Warcries that exert. That's already 36 damage more on my Earthshatter. Supported attack deal 10% more damage if exerted. Supported attacks deal 20 increased damage if exerted. So you can use this, by the way, with this. Because auto-exertion is going to trigger exerted too. And you can see that the exertion here is going to buff if you link this to your main skill. So this will work with each other. So you can put 5 skills here that do exertion, Warcry skills linked to this one. And this is going to be buffed a lot, automatically. So this can work with each other. So now I'm going to Path of Building and we are going to talk about the Warcries. Okay guys, I'm now in Path of Building and I'm going to talk about the Cries. So how they work, what is the power, what is an exert, what are the buffs, what are the stats that are important, how you can manipulate them, because this is not that easy. So I put here the auto-exertion and then all the Cries on it. So you can see that you can link 6 of them and then my mana is going to the red. So I don't have enough mana anymore. All those Cries here, they got an exert. Is it a good setup? Probably not, no. But it's something that I want to show. So this will work. So you can play Friday the game, get the auto-exertion, link all those 6 on them, and they will all exert your main attack. So let's talk now about the cries. So there are some things that are very important. So first we are going to talk about the stats. So if you have a look to a cry, you will see it got a cooldown time, that's 8-second base. So you need to get that lower, otherwise you can only use it every 8 seconds, and that's way too slow. You got a cast time, that's 0.8 seconds, so that's a long time. If you don't do anything, it takes almost 1 second to get your Warcry cast. You got the mana usage, so that can be very high, therefore we like to link it to live tap. And then the last one, let me have a look, is a base duration is 3.4 seconds, so the time that it's up. Sometimes it needs to be longer up, sometimes it needs to be less up. It all depends how fast you hit with your attacks. So there is not somewhere that I can say 4 seconds cooldown is good, duration 4 seconds is perfect. It depends on the build. Depends how fast you hit. So that's something that you need to check out yourself. So if you are hitting and you see that the cooldown is back and your exerts are still up, you need to wait. So you need to get the cooldown a little bit lower, and so on. So there are some things that you can do. So the cooldown time is already automatically going down if you get the quality up of a cry. So you can see now the Battle Mage cry. There is no cooldown recovery. But if I put now this at 1 quality, you suddenly see that I got increased cooldown recovery rate. So that's the beauty about it. So if you bring every cry to 20%, you already see here that the increased cooldown recovery rate is 40%. So that means that you got 40% less of the 8 seconds. That's around 5 and a little bit. So only with getting the quality of a cry to 20, you already go from 8 seconds cooldown to 5 seconds cooldown. And then of course you can find it on the tree too. So if you just go to the tree, you push here Warcry, you see there are a lot of clusters. And you will find it here too. So increased Warcry cooldown recovery rate. So you need to match that with the attack of your weapon, if you want to go with exerts. So, but you can go very low, even 2-3 seconds, that every 2-3 seconds you get it back. So if you go with the new auto-exertion gem, there is a lot of benefit to get that down, because then they are cast a lot faster. If you can, of course, use all the exerts in that time zone. Because if you got 2 exerts that are still need to be used, and you auto recast the Warcry, you just waste 2 exerts, and a lot of points probably that are not really needed. It's complex, it's min-maxing, I know it, but I just want to say it. Then the next one. So the next one is the duration, is the speed, so the cast time. And there is something beautiful too. So you can see, if I put Sesame Cry at level 0, you can see there is no speed. But if I put it at +1, you can see suddenly, you see, let me have a look, maybe I need to go to level 2. Yeah, there it is. So now you can see I got already 2% increased Warcry speed. So that means that the 0.8 is already 2% less. If you go further to 20, you will see that now the increased Warcry speed is already 38%. So the 0.8 seconds on every Warcry is now already 38% lower. Of course, you can go back to the tree and just get points too, that you get it even lower, that you almost cast it in instant. It's not never going to be instant because we don't have that node anymore, but you can see it here. So let me have a look, where is the speed modifier? Is it over here? So here you can see 15% increased Warcry speed, increased War, and that's going to lower the cast time from 0.8 seconds to closer to 0. So you cast it just faster. Very important. Then the next one is the duration. So the duration is very important too. So you can see it's 3.4 seconds duration base. So if you cast it, how long you will have the buff of a Warcry. So it's very important. So how can you manipulate that? Just same with the tree. So you will find over the tree durations here, increased Warcry duration, increased Warcry buff effect is one of them too. Is there a duration here somewhere else? So you will find it in the clusters again. So that is very important that you understand that. It all depends how fast you hit, how long that you need to have the buffs on the Warcry. Are the exert used? You need to fix that yourself with testing for your build. I cannot say this is the bottleneck. That's something that you need to do by yourself. Now we are going to talk about some very important stuff. So you can see here every Warcry, if you use it, it's going to give a buff. So you can see here that Seismic Cry is going to grant a buff with armor and increased stun threshold. That's the buff. If you do auto-exertion, they will not use the buff. It's ignored. Always remember that. That makes that gem very weak. So for Seismic Cry, how does it work? So you can see here, buffs grant 15% increased stun threshold per 5 power, up to maximum of 25 power. So what does that mean? And then the next one, buff grants 5% more armor per 5 power, up to maximum of 25 power. What the fuck does that mean? So how does that work? So if you got a Cry and you use it, the Cry is going to taunt enemies and is going to take the power of the enemies around you. But not every enemy is going to give the same power. So how can you see that? You go to configuration and you come to here. So for example, you can see it here. So a normal enemy, if I use my Cry, so if I got a normal enemy is going to give 1 power, a magic enemy is going to give 2 powers, a rare enemy 10 powers, and a unique enemy 20 powers. The moment that you cast it and you got a unique enemy, you get 20 powers. So your Warcry is powered, and on that moment you get the buff. The next pack that you do it, you use your Warcry again, you power once again according to all the surrounding enemies, you power once again your Warcry, and you get that certain amount of buffs. That's how it works. So it is possible that if you go, I think it works like that. So if you got 25 power and you go to a pack where you got 1 enemy, that you go from 20 to 5, that you lower the buff by just using the Warcry on the next pack. As long as it is up, your Warcry. But I'm not sure about that. But logical, I think it works like that. Or they always keep the highest one. That's possible too. So what is it going to do for the Cries? So for example, I'm coming on a pack and there are 5 normal enemies. I use my Cry and then I got 5 power because a normal enemy is giving 1 power. So you can see buff grants 5% more armor per 5 power. So that means I got 5% more armor. Buff grants 15% increased stun threshold per 5 power. That's what I got because I only got 5 power. If I come to a pack and I got 5 normal enemies and 1 rare one, I'm going to get 10 plus 5 power is 15 power. So what does that mean? The buff grants 5% for every 5 power, but I got 15. That means that I'm going to get on Seismic Cry 15% more power and 45% increased stun threshold. So that makes it very strong. Another thing. So what is infinite power? So you guys can see it here. If we go now to the items or the tree, a lot of people say that this is now something that we got on Chieftain. So you can see here there is now ascendancy, and this is very strong, by the way. So you see that Warcries have infinite power. There is an item that got that too. That's the Red Blade Banner. Therefore, it's very good to use it. So here you can see it. This one is going to give infinite power too. So what does that mean? So that means I'm going to show you guys that, by the way, in the game too. So that means if you just use your Warcry, even without enemies around you, it's always going to go to the maximum power. And where can you find the maximum power? You can see it here. So up to maximum power of 25 power. So if you got the ascendancy of the chieftain, if you got Red Blade Banner, you will always get 25 power and you will use the maximum amount of buff. And that makes it very strong. So you always got the maximum buff. It's not strong with the new gem, because the buffs are ignored. But if you tap them by yourself, infinite power is very strong. You can do it without enemies. You generate your power by yourself. And that is infinite power. It depends, of course, what cry you use. Because here, if you use Intimidating Cry, this will go up to 30 power. So if I use this with the infinite power, this will go to 30. And I got 6 times multiply 3% increased movement speed. That's 18% increased movement speed. That's how infinite power works. And therefore, a lot of people are saying Chieftain is a very good ascendancy now to use with Warcry. That's true. But the problem is, defensive-wise, it's not so good. So that's the buffs, that's the power, that's infinite power. Very important. You got a couple of things here too that you will see on the tree. So if you go once again to the cries here, the masteries, like this is very good. Warcries have a minimum of 10 power. So that means that you always got 10 power. So the base is 10 power. You always got 2 buffs on your cries without doing anything. So you can go without enemies around you. You use the Warcry and you got 10 power. And then it stacks with enemies. Therefore, this mastery is really good too. And you can take it. It's going to give always at the base buffs without doing anything, just using your Warcry. And now to end this section, and this is very important too, I'm going to talk about exerts. So what are exerts? And this is the only thing that is going to be used by the Autoexertion gem. So you will see that, for example, Seismic Cry got an exert. So the moment that you use your Warcry, you will see on that icon in game, you see numbers. That are the exerts. So what is the exert going to do for Seismic Cry? So you use the cry. On that moment, it's going to exert your main attack. The Warcry is not going to do that. So for me, it's Earthshatter. On that moment, Earthshatter got 6, 3, 4 exerts. And if I use my Earthshatter, I'm going to use 1 exert. And it's going to do the buff that the exert is giving. So this is going to work with auto exertion. So you can see it here. So for example, Seismic Cry is one that I would put on auto exertion because it's very strong. So you can see exert the next 6 melee slams attack you perform. So if I use Earthshatter, it's going to be 6 times exerted. And what is the exert going to do? It's going to give me 50% more area of effect. That's big. You need to understand if you're using ground slam with this, because that's a slam. Always be sure that you use a slam. It's saying it, melee slam. So you cannot use it with a strike gem. A strike gem, there is another cry that uses it with a strike gem. So that's big. 50% area of effect, that's very big. So it's really good. Another one that is very popular is this one. So what is Intimidating Cry going to do? Exert the next 2 melee attacks you perform, that are 2. And the exert attack deal double damage. So that means that the next 2 Earthshatters that I use do double damage, simply double damage. So this one and this one on auto exertion are worth to do it, in my opinion. That are the only ones. Because what is the problem, for example, with Battle Mage Cry? So the buff here is giving the best for this cry. So the buff is granting 0.5 to critical chance per 5 power up to 25. That's base, by the way. So a lot of people think oh, 5, that's not that much because I got 70. What is no? Base. So a base so you got base critical chance, and then everything that you see later on, critical chance is 100% more, is buffing those 5%. So that's very big for me. If I use this manual, because it's a buff, I'm going to cap on my maul, just my crit, just by using this. But you need to use it manual. You cannot put because it's a buff. But if you see here the exert, it's not so good. So here is the exert for a melee. Attacks trigger a supported spell with their first melee hit. So here it's not so good. So you need to watch it a little bit. Another thing that I want to show you guys is this. So for example, you're using a strike spell. I need to have a look here. So a central cry, the exert, is going to exert the next 8 melee strikes. This is not a slam. This is a strike. So if you want to use double strike, you need to use this one. So exerted strike target 2 additional enemies. Very strong for strike. So you need to read really carefully what the exerts are doing. So that's it a little bit. I cannot say more. It was long. It's not simple. I'm going now into the game and I will show you guys infinite power. I will show you guys how you can see your power. I'm going to play a little bit in game with the cooldown and all that stuff, that you understand that it changes. Here you cannot see it. If I take the cooldown down, it's not going to change because you only see the base here. Okay guys, I'm now in the game, and so I'm going to show you guys a couple of stuff. So I got here my red blade banner, got here my mace because I need to use a one-handed. So here you can see in game, you can see everything. Here you can see the numbers that are using the skills, are using 20% quality. In Path of Building, you cannot see that. And here is a very good example. It's going to change, by the way, in the future. So in 3.25, all the cries are going to change. So you can see here the cost is 57 life. Why? Because I put it on life tap. So it's going to do this. If you get life tap away, you will see that Enduring Cry is using 30 mana at the moment. Then you see the use time is a half of a second. So if I use it, it takes a half of a second. Then the next one that you can see here is it got a cooldown time of 5.63 seconds. So that are the things that I said to you guys too. And it got the buff last 2.2 seconds. So that means that's the duration of this cry. So now you guys can see we are going to play a little bit with the power. So you guys can see counts the total power of enemies in range. I told you guys at 1.4 normal, 24 unique. Gain 1 endurance charge per 5 power. So let's have a look. So I'm going to show you guys first the infinite power. So that means infinite power. So it will change to a number, but here the number is not yet here. So that means if I use this, I can, at the moment, let me have a look. I can have charges, I guess. I got 4 endurance charges. So if I use this cry, and it's now gone because I still need to equip it. I'm going to put it here. So if I use this cry, I need to get 4 endurance charges. Because infinite power, that means I'm going to use all the endurance charges because I need 20 to get 4. Is that true? Here we go. So you can see that's true. So that makes it very strong. So at the moment I do this. This is one that you can see. The other ones are a little bit harder to see on the cries because yeah, I cannot show you guys the stun here. Is there another one that I can show you guys? Overwhelms physical reduction. So you can see why it's so good. So without enemies, I get the maximum buff because I got the maximum power to get all the buffs. That's infinite, infinite power. So now I'm going to show you guys the next. So how does it work? If you go to a map, so you can do that with Enduring Cry too. So I'm going to show you guys that it's really true that one normal enemy is giving 1 power. So I'm going to get a map. So let me have a look. I'm going to go a little bit with the lower map. Because I'm not going to hit stuff, because otherwise it dies. So let's go just with the tier 13. So you can see it here. And by the way, I put on my Juggernaut this node, of course, off. Because otherwise, you can think, yeah, but you got a node that is going to give a chance to get maximum endurance charges. No, I put it off. So otherwise, it's not that correct what I'm showing you guys. So let's have a look now. So now we are going to run around and try to fight. So here you can see this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 normal enemies. And you can see that's around 1 point for every enemy. And that was correct. I generated now one endurance charge because I probably had 5 to 6 power. And you need to have 5 power for every endurance charge. So it works. So I did my cry. I soaked the power of the enemies, and that's what happened. Here is only 1. Let's do this again. So now I got 2 because I already had 1. Or is this? No, this is in total 10 Warcries. So let's go a little bit further. It's not easy to see, but you guys know what I'm saying. So here I got a rare. I got a shitload of normal ones. So normally, I think I can get 20 power from everything here. So let's try to do that. Yeah. So I got now 20 power, and that's normal. I got a rare is 10, I got around 12 normal, so I had 20 to 30 power that I can soak of all of those things. So that's how power works. Very simple set. This is how you can see it really easy. So you just use it, you get the power of your enemies around you, and that's it. Another thing that I want to show you guys is here you can see if you manipulate the stats what is going to happen. Once again, you see here, my cooldown time is 5.3 seconds. My use time 0.58. So what I'm going to do is, if you go to the skill tree, you see here. So here you can see it, 5.63. So if I take this one, the cooldown need to go down. Apply, 563. It's now 519. So let me have a look. Can I do it with another one? Do we got here? So the duration. So let's get the duration up. Duration is now 2.2 seconds. Let's take this one. Duration is now 2.5 seconds. So you can see right away what it's doing. So do that. If you want to min-max it, just take it, have a look. Okay, now I'm good. I can use all my exerts and all that stuff. So that makes it very good. Can I do the speed too? Where is the speed node? Is it here? Yeah, here. So I'm going to refund a couple of points. So let's get the cast speed of the endurance cry down to. So here we go. So if we go to this node, so now you can see that the cast speed, so the use time of endurance cry is 0.58 seconds. If I take this one, I'm going to lower that. I can use it faster. Is that true? Apply it. It's now 0.52 seconds. So if I take this one, it's going, do I got 1 more point? Okay, let's take this one. Now it's 0.48 seconds. I'm not sure how far you can go because this is 50%. Let's take the 52. But I need to refund really quick, just to show you guys. Okay, here I'm going to take this one. Back to the, let's refund this one. So let's take the 50% one because this is a big one. So now you can see it's 0.37. So that means we went from 0.56 or something to 0.37 seconds. So that's a lot. So you can see I can cast it now a lot quicker than before. So you can see it here. Then another thing, I'm going to show you guys exerted attacks. So how does that work? So I got Sesame Cry here. And I got Intimidating Cry. So if we do now just the same, but now we are not going to use Enduring, you will see the numbers that I'm talking about. So now you see here a number. So now my attack is exerted 5 times. So if I hit now with Earth Shatter, it's 3. If I hit 1 time more, it's 2. That's 1. And now all the exerts are gone. So what was I doing? I was getting increased area of effect. We can do it again. Here is 5 again. So that are exerts. So this number. So this is what you're going to use if you use Autoexertion. Therefore, it's really good if you link it now to this and this, and it's automatically, I'm constantly going to exert my attacks. But this depends, therefore I said it depends on the speed that you hit. So if you hit faster than your cooldown, so for example, I hit 5 times, but my cooldown is already back, it means that the cooldown is too low on that cry. Because perfect is that you use all the exerts and then you use the Warcry again. So you can do it here. So this is, now we are going to do intimidating, and now my attacks are exerted with 2. You can exert your attack with like all the exerts. So it's not that you get 1. You can get intimidating exert, you can get seismic exert. Before I go, I forgot to say that you can get more exerts too. You will see that I will take that in my build for 3.25 So if you go back to the cries, so let me have a look. This is the old tree. So I need to think where it was. I think it's over here. Is it this one? Ah, here it is. I already took it, of course. So you got something that is Warcries exert 1 additional attack. Because this one is going to give 4 melee attacks exerted, plus 1 is 5. And I got 5 here. But that's not all. We got now on the Berserker. The Berserker is giving an ascendancy that is giving plus 2 more exerts. That makes it very strong. Of course, it depends all how fast you hit. So exerts, a lot of more exerts are only good if you got a fast hitting build. I don't think it benefits a lot for a very slow build. But that was it, guys. It was a lot. I hope that everything is now a little bit more clear. I went very hard in detail. I want to show everything what I do. And I hope that you guys understand it now a little bit better. It's not simple, this mechanic, but if you understand it, it can make your build very, very powerful. Thanks for watching. Have fun. Bye-bye.